Welcome to the layer-by-layer overview of Psalm 12. A way to remember this psalm is with the phrase, pure words, because the psalm contrasts the flattering and deceitful words of the wicked with the pure, trustworthy words of the Lord. The words of the wicked are louder, but the words of the Lord are pure. The psalm centers around words, the words of the proud and the words of the Lord. The first half presents a section on the problem of the wicked, then a section on their proud words. The second half presents a section on the words of the Lord, and then a section on the protection that they offer. This psalm is a lament, a prayer for help amidst pervasive wickedness. The first verse is the superscription, for the director on the 8-tone scale, a psalm by David. The significance of the 8-tone scale remains uncertain, but it is most likely a musical term that is shared with Psalm 6 and 1 Chronicles 15. Psalm 6 is another lament, highlighting the sound of weeping in near despair. The 8-tone scale may have to do with music appropriate to laments. The rest of the superscription reminds us to read this psalm as written by David, but also intended for temple worship. The psalm opens with a plea, based on a complaint about the absence of loyalty and the prevalence of duplicity. Help, Lord, for the loyal one has disappeared, for faithful ones have vanished from among humanity. The loyal one needs to be understood against a culture that expects that every kind of relationship has obligations. The loyal person is the one who fulfills these obligations, such as a host taking care of his guests, or a child reflecting well on his family, a friend repaying kindness, or even a formal covenant. For the loyal one to have disappeared, relationships are breaking down. Promises, whether explicitly made or implicitly accepted as part of a relationship, are not being kept. The faithful ones, those faithful to their obligations, includes the idea of believing the Lord's promises, which helps hint at the very start at a central idea of this psalm: promises and trust. People have been making promises and not keeping them. They cannot be trusted. The Lord has been making promises, and regardless of whether or not people have been believing him, the psalm will argue that he can be trusted. They speak falsehood, each with his neighbor. With flattering lips, with duplicity they speak. Verse 2 spoke of the absence of something good. Verse 3 tells about what people are doing. They're speaking falsehood, lying to their neighbors. They seem to speak well, they flatter others, but it's in duplicity. This is not simply a matter of failing to keep promises because a person made a mistake. This is intentional lying and misleading. This finishes the plea, which also describes the situation. Promises had been broken and broken intentionally. Everyone, it seemed, was untrustworthy. An additional plea sets the scene for what becomes a comparison between the proud words of those around him and the words of the Lord. May the Lord exterminate all flattering lips, every tongue speaking great things. The psalmist does not speak delicately here. His frustration is let loose as he asks that the Lord exterminate, literally cut off, every pair of lips that flatters and every tongue that boasts. The psalmist is disgusted and furious. This is an extremely strong reaction. Is it merited, or is he exaggerating? He seems to anticipate that question, for he provides the direct speech of those boasting lips. So both the Lord, directly within the psalm, and the audience, indirectly hearing the psalm, can judge for themselves. Those flattering lips that say, We can speak boldly. Our lips are under our control. Who is our master? The wicked, here personified by their flattering lips and boasting tongues, claim that they can say whatever they want. They can lie without consequences. Their lips are under their control and not under anyone else's, meaning there is no one to hold them accountable for their lies. When they ask, "Who is our master?" they logically deny that there is any master or lord over them. The Lord is not their Lord. This is therefore a rejection of the Lord and his entire relationship with his people. This is the most extreme form of breaking a relationship for ancient Israel. This may be the reason for the extreme language of cutting off the flattering lips, recalling the many passages in the law of Moses in which lawbreakers would be cut off from the community. This kind of proud speech indicates that the Lord's position as God and King was indeed being disregarded, that people were not believing in his promises. How does one respond when people are ignoring the Lord? The psalmist does not have words of his own here. He does not need words of his own. The situation may look hopeless, but it could only be hopeless if the Lord were truly not active, if he were not holding people accountable. The psalmist reports the Lord's own words, which he cites as the answer to the speech of the wicked. Because afflicted ones are devastated, because poor ones groan, now I will rise up, says the Lord. I will place in safety the one for whom someone sets traps. The Lord's speech is not philosophical or abstract. The wicked may think they can pursue falsehood endlessly, but they are wrong. The Lord cares about the afflicted and the poor, and he hears their cries. He will now rise up to take action, to rescue the one in need. The one for whom someone sets traps uses the imagery of hunters trapping animals to picture the wicked seeking to ensnare the righteous. See our exegetical issues video for why we have chosen this reading. This provides the contrast between the attitude of the wicked and the attitude of the Lord. The wicked sneer at the afflicted, whereas the Lord has compassion and responds to their cries. That is, he says he will respond to their cries. The tension in the poem surrounds what to do with the current reality of affliction and the promise that it will come to an end. This is the heart of this psalm. Will the reader believe the boastful claims of the wicked, that there is no accountability and that lies will succeed? Or will the reader believe the promise of the Lord, that he will have compassion and deliver the afflicted and poor? The Lord's words are pure words. Silver refined in a furnace on the ground, purified 7 times over. There are 2 choices for the one to believe. Either the duplicitous people who want to cut off any relationship with the Lord, or the Lord himself, whose words are pure, like silver refined until there are no impurities left. See both the exegetical issues video and the poetic features video for more on this. All the emotional tension, the disgust and anger and fear on behalf of the afflicted fade away, as the only thing that matters in verse 7 is the purity and perfection of the Lord's words. The circumstances of the moment, all the broken promises and duplicity, do not change the truth about the Lord and his promises. They remain pure and trustworthy. Now that he has confirmed the Lord's promises to be reliable, the psalmist is able to address the afflicted. You, Lord, will guard them. You will protect him from the generation which is forever. There is an ambiguity here that captures the conclusion of the psalmist. It could mean, you, Lord, will guard your words to make good on your promises. Or it could mean, you, Lord, will guard the afflicted to protect him from the wicked. The wording cleverly shows that there is no distinction between the Lord guarding or keeping his words and guarding or keeping his people safe. This is the psalmist's profession of faith, that he believes in the Lord's promises, which means he believes that the Lord will guard and protect the poor and afflicted. From verse 2, we know that it seems as if this generation of false and duplicitous people has no end. The loyal and faithful seem to have completely disappeared. And in some sense, that is true. There will always be false and duplicitous people. This is not a statement about the end times, but the present reality on earth. The Lord's promises are meaningful precisely because they will continue to be needed. The wicked will continue to be wicked, afflicting others, but the Lord will continue to have compassion on those poor and afflicted, protecting them. Protect is probably best understood as meaning that the Lord will continue to protect his people through their difficulties, not from their difficulties. Wicked ones roam around when vileness is esteemed among humans. Verse 9 belongs with verse 8, as those from whom the Lord will guard his people. The word roam here has a sense of claiming authority over all the land where one roams. Wherever society embraces vileness, the wicked will go and claim authority, claiming that they can pursue their wickedness with no accountability, exactly as the speech in verse 5 boasted. In one sense, the psalm thus ends where it began. The wicked are still roaming freely, thinking they are their own masters. The difference is that their voice is not the only one heard. They may think they are in control, but they are not the only ones who have spoken. There is another voice, the Lord's, whose words have been tested and proven true. It is up to the audience to decide whom to believe. And now, the complete text of Psalm 12. For the director on the 8-tone scale, a psalm by David. Help, Lord! For the loyal one has disappeared, for faithful ones have vanished from among humanity. They speak falsehood, each with his neighbor, with flattering lips, with duplicity they speak. May the Lord exterminate all flattering lips, every tongue speaking great things, all who have said, we can speak boldly, our lips are under our control. Who is our master? Because afflicted ones are devastated, because poor ones groan, now I will rise up, says the Lord. I will place in safety the one for whom someone sets traps. The Lord's words are pure words, silver refined in a furnace on the ground, purified 7 times over. You, Lord, will guard them. You will protect him from the generation which is forever. Wicked ones roam around when vileness is esteemed among humans. This has been the overview video for Psalm 12. Our aim is to present a single coherent interpretation of the psalm. Our exegetical issues video discusses other scholarly views, and our poetic features video explores the distinctively poetic nature of the psalm. All these videos are offered free of charge thanks to the generosity of our donors. Please visit us at cdbr.org to learn more. Thank you.